Hello, today we are doing class 10 ICSE mathematics sample paper of section B. This is the last question of section B. We have already done the question number from 4 to 9. Out of the 7 questions, it is asked only to do any 4 questions. So we have already completed the question number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Now this is the last question of section B. We are doing this question. So the first part, a car travels a distance of 72 kilometer, okay, at a certain average speed of x kilometer per hour and then travels a distance of 81 kilometer at an average speed of 6 kilometer per hour, more than its original average speed. If it takes 3 hours to complete the total journey, then form a quadratic equation and you have to solve it to find the original average speed, that is the value of x. So in the we are doing this sum. So what is given in the question? So there are two distances traveled at two different average speed. The distance of the first part, so distance traveled, so distance traveled in the first part, so distance traveled in the first part is told to us in the question. It is 72 kilometers, and we are told that to take the average speed of the first part as x kilometers per hour. So, speed of the average speed of the first part. So, what is the average speed of the first part? It is the first distance we are denoting by d1, and the average speed of the first part we are denoting it by s1, which is x kilometers per hour. It is told to us in the question. So the time the time taken in first part. So what is the time taken in first part? Let us denote it by the t1, which will be distance divided by speed, d1 divided by s1. So d1 is 72 kilometers, s1 is x, it is so many hours. So this is so many hours is the time in the first part. So let us write it so many hours. Okay. So this is the time of movement in the first part. Okay. Now we are told that the distance traveled in the second part is 81 kilometers. So therefore you write distance traveled. So distance traveled in the second part. Now in the second part, what is the distance traveled? In the question it is told 81 kilometers. So right here 81 kilometer, and the average speed of the second part. The distance of the second part, you denote it by d2, and the average speed of second part. Now, what we are told, the average speed of second part, write it as S2. It is told to us the average speed of the second part is 6 kilometer per hour, more than its original average speed. That is the average speed of the first part. So now it is 6 kilometer per hour more than the original speed. Original speed was x. It is 6 more than that. That is x plus 6. It is so many kilometers per hour. So therefore, time traveled in the second part. So time traveled in second part. So what will be this? This will be the d2 divided by s2, which we are denoting by t2. Okay. So that is d2 is 81 kilometers. And what is s2? It is x plus 6. It is so many hours. Now we are told in the question, the total, it takes 3 hours to complete the total journey. That is the total time taken in the first part as well as in the second part is total 3 hours. So right here, okay, the required equation. So the required equation is the time t1 plus time t2 is equal to 3. So what is the time t1 in x? It is 72 upon x. And what is t2 in the form of x? It is 81 upon x plus 6. Its value is total 3. Now we notice that the every term on the left side and on the right side, that is 3, or every term is divisible by 3. So you divide every term on the right as well as on the left of the equation by 3. So therefore, dividing throughout by 3. So therefore, dividing throughout by 3. Okay, we have. So what do we have when we divide all the terms by 3? So 72 divided by 3 is 24 divided by x plus 81 divided by 3 is 27 whole divided by x plus 6. So 7 divided by 3 is 2, carry 1, 12, 12 divided by 3 is 4, 8 divided by 3 is 2, carry 2, 21 divided by 3 is 7, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. Now you take the common denominator on the left side. That is the LCM of the two denominators. It is x times x plus 6. Now divide this common denominator with the first denominator, that is x. The answer is x plus 6. Multiply the numerator 24 with x plus 6. Now plus sign is there. In between, put the plus sign. Divide the common denominator x times x plus 6 with the second denominator x plus 6. You get x. So multiply the numerator 27 with x. It is 27x. Value is 1. Now write the do the cross multiply. So the denominator I am moving to the right. One time of that is x times x plus 6. That is equals to 24 times x plus 6 plus 27x. Now you simplify this. X times x is x squared plus x times 6 is 6x. It is equals to 24 times x is 24x plus 24 times 6 is 6 times 4 is 24. Carry is 2. 2 times 6, 12 plus 2 is 14 plus 27x. Now bring all the terms to the left. Okay, x squared plus 6x. Now plus, okay, first we are simplifying and writing it on the right. So 24 plus 27 is 7 plus 4 is 11, carry 1. 2 plus 2 is 4 plus 1, 5. So 51x plus 144. Now bring all the terms to the left. So this become x squared plus 6x minus 51x. When plus 51x comes to the left, it becomes minus 51x minus 144. That is equals to 0. So this gets simplified as x squared plus 6x minus 51x. So you subtract and write the sign negative because the negative coefficient is bigger. So 11 minus 6 is 5 and that is 4. 45x minus 144. That is equals to 0. Now we will factorize this quadratic equation. Okay, so for that we do a rough work. We write here m and a. For m, you write the coefficient of x squared plus 1 times the constant term, that is 3 from x. So 1 multiplied with minus 144 is minus 144. Okay, and the middle term is coefficient is right here addition minus 45. Now find out two numbers whose product gives us minus 144 and whose sum gives us minus 45. You may factorize 144, prime factorization. So divide by 2, 72. Again divide by 2, you get 36. Again divide by 2, you get here 18. And then 18 you divide with 3. Okay, 2, sorry. 9. And 9 you divide with 3, 3. So frame form, try to make two numbers from here. Okay, whose product will give us minus 144 and sum minus, okay, here 45 minus 45. So that gives us here 2 times 2 4, 4 times 2 8. Okay, and here, okay, 9 times, okay, 9 times 8 is 72. Okay, and this is 16 times 3. Okay, multiply these numbers. 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 gives us 48. So 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8, 2 times 2, 8 times 2, 16 times 3, 48. And this 3. So write, okay, minus 48 and plus 3. So multiplying we get minus 144. Adding we get minus 45. So break up the middle term. X squared minus 48x and plus 3x minus 144. This is equals to 0. So minus 45x, we have written it minus 48x plus 3x. Other terms I have copied it down. Now take x common from the first two terms. So divide both the terms, first two terms by x. So we get x squared divided by x is x. Minus 48 x divided by x is minus 48. Now from the next two terms you take 3 common. So we get x minus 48. It is equals to 0. So now you take x minus 48 common. And what we get, x plus 3 in the other bracket is equals to 0. So when the product of two expressions is 0, so either we get x minus 48 value is equals to 0 or x plus 3 value is equals to 0. So from the second equation, x value is minus 3. From the first, x value is 48. So x is the average speed of the first part. It can't be negative. So neglect the minus 3. So that is neglected. So the answer is x equals to 48. So therefore, the original average speed. So original average speed we took as x, and we were asked to find the value of that. So it is 48 kilometers per hour. So that is the answer. So that is the average speed of the original part. So that is the answer. Now we are moving to the question number 2. Now what is the sum saying? Here, this is the sum of matrices. So there is a one matrix X denoted by X. It is 1183. Okay, the row are, it is two rows, two columns. So first row is 11, second row is 83. And I, it is called identity matrix, denoted by capital I. It is also 2 into 2 order. So first row is 10, second row is 01. So prove that x squared value is same as 4x plus 5i. So first you find out x squared. So x squared is what? I, x multiplied with x. So 1183 times 1183. Okay, 1183. So how the two matrices are multiplied? The rows multiplied with column. So first row you multiply with the first column, right? In the first row, first element. So first row is 1 1 in here on the left. So 1 multiplied with 1, you multiply 1 with 1. Okay, first element of the first column. Now you multiply the second element of first row in the left hand side matrix with the first element of the first column in the second matrix. So 1 times 8, add it up. Now we will write the here the second element of the first row. So you multiply the first row with the second column. Okay, first row of the first matrix multiplied with the second row of the second matrix. That will be written in the second element of the first row. So 1 you multiply with 1. Okay, and plus the second element of the first row on the left is 1. Multiply with the second element of the second column in the right. So 1 times 3. Okay, and 2. Now the second row with the first column. So 8 you multiply with 1. Okay, and plus 3 you multiply with 8, right? In the second row, first element of the second row of the product matrix. Now you multiply 8 with 1, second row, second column. 8 with 1 plus, and 3 you multiply with 3. So that is x squared. So x squared value is, now simplify. So 1 times 1 is 1, plus 1 times 8 is 8. Okay, now the second element of the first row. 1 times 1 is 1, plus 1 times 3 is 3. Now the first element of the second row. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 3 times 8 is 24. Now the second element of the second row. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 3 times 3 is 9. So that is equals to 1 plus 8 is 9, and 1 plus 3 is 4. 8 plus 24 is 32, and 8 plus 9 is 17. So that is the value of x squared. That is left hand side. So this is left hand side. LHS, x squared. Now RHS. So RHS is 4x plus 5i. So you multiply 4 with the X matrix. So what is X? 1183. So it is 1, 1, 8 and 3 plus 5i. So 5 times I. I is the identity matrix. 1, 0 and 0, 1. Now you multiply here. Okay, so this comes to 4 you multiply with every element here in the matrix and write in the corresponding place. So 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 8 is 32. Right here, 32. Okay, and 4 times 3 is 12. Right here, 12. Okay, plus, and here you multiply 5 with every element of the identity matrix. So 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 0 is 0. And 5 times 1 is 5. Now you add up the corresponding elements in the corresponding places. So here we get. So first element of the first row added with the first element of the first row of the second matrix. Right in the first element of first row, 4 and 5 you add, and next 4 and 0 you add and write it the second element of the first row. Now 32 and 0 you add, write it as the first element of the second row, and 12 you add with 5 and write it in the second element of the second row. 4 and 5, 4 plus 0, 32 plus 0 and 12 plus 5. So what we get here? 4 plus 5 is 9 and 4 plus 0 is 4. Right here, 4. Okay, and 32 plus 0 is 32 and 12 plus 5 is 17. So now you compare, this is right hand side. So now you check whether left hand side and right hand side are equal or not. So the left hand side we get 9 4 32 7, and the right hand side 9 4 32 7. So left hand side is equals to right hand side. So LHS is equal to RHS. So that was what we required to prove. So we have proved it. Okay. Now the last question of the year, question number 10, which is the last question of this paper. Okay. So our paper will be completed. We will be doing the some other paper in the next class. So what is the question says? Use ruler and compasses. So you are allowed to use only ruler and compasses, not freehand. Okay, use ruler and compasses for the following question. Taking a scale. So you have to take the scale 10 meter to 1 centimeter in drawing. So actually, uh, the original figure is in meters. We will be drawing on the paper by taking the scale 10 meter representing 1 centimeter, okay, on the paper, but on the ground it is in meters. Okay, a path in a city is bounded by straight fences A, B, B, C, C, D, and D, A. So the corner edges of a park are A, B, B, C, C, D, and D, A. Given that the length of AB is 50 meters, so you draw first. Okay, here a rough sketch. Okay, so the original figure is this. Okay, original, and we will draw a rough sketch looking at the original. So AB is 50 meters, BC is 63 meters, and angle ABC is given to us 75 degree. So it is like this. See, draw a one, okay, here edge AB. We are calling this point A and this point B. This is the original figure. Okay, so original figure. So this is the original figure. Okay, in meters. So here the length of AB is 50 meters. This length is 50 meters. AB. Okay, so this is 50 meters. Okay, now what is next told to us? Angle ABC is 75 degree. So this angle ABC is 75 degree. So here this angle is given to us is 75 degree, and the length of BC, is here 63 meters. This length is 63 meters told to us. Next, now what is next told to us? D is a point equidistant from the pencils AB and BC. D is a one point, and angle BAD is 90 degree. So angle BAD is 90 degree. So this angle is 90 degree. So D point is lying somewhere on this perpendicular line, on this line 90 degree, which the line which is making 90-degree angle with AB. And it is told to us the point D is equidistant. The point D is equidistant from the pencils AB and BC. So that point D is equidistant from BC as well as from AB. Now what we know? We know that the any point, this is the key point. Okay, key point. So what we know? We know any point, any point lying on the any point, we have to find out a point D which is equidistant from AB and BC. So we know what, how we will get a point D which is equidistant from AB and BC. So any point lying on the angle bisector, okay, angle bisector, okay, of an angle, any point lying on the angle bisector of an angle, of an angle is, okay, is equidistant. Equidistant means the perpendicular distance, equidistant from from the two arms, from the two arms of the angle, of the angle. Now this point D is equidistant from BC as well as AB. Okay, that means the point D is here somewhere, whose distance from AB is, so this is, suppose we call this point as D. This point D must be lying on the line which is making 90-degree angle with AB, because we are told that BAD is 90-degree angle. Okay, BAD. So D point will be lying on this line which is making a 90-degree angle with BA. So that point D is at, suppose this point is the D. Okay, now the distance of D from AB is, suppose this is the distance, we call it X, suppose X meter. So the perpendicular distance of D from the here. So suppose this line is making a 90-degree angle. Suppose I have drawn a perpendicular from B onto E. Okay, so this distance DE should be same as DA. So this distance DE should also be X meters. Okay, now we, okay, now we know that any point which lies on the angle bisector is equidistant from the two arms of the angle. So this is the 75-degree angle between the arm AB and BC. So the D must be lying on the angle bisector of the angle ABC. Okay, so D must be lying on the angle bisector, because any point which lies on the angle bisector of an angle R is equidistant from the two arms of the angle. So this is the key point will be needed. Now In the question, we are told, okay, take a scale. 10 meter is equal to 1 centimeter. Okay, so here the length of AB is 50 meters. So on the paper, what length we will take? So the 10 meters, AB is 10 meters. Okay, AB length is here in the question. Original figure is 10 meter. Okay, now it is 50 meters. Sorry, AB is 50 meter. Okay, so on the paper, what length will be that? Okay, so we are told to us 10 meter on the ground is representing 1 centimeter on the paper. Okay, so now 50 centimeters actual length will be equal to this unitary method 1 times 50 divided by 10. So that comes to 5 centimeter. So on the paper, we will be drawing a length 5 centimeter, which will be representing 50 meter. And here BE is told to us is 63 meters actual length on the ground. So here on the paper, what we will do, 10 meter is representing 1 centimeter. So 63 meter will be represented by what length? Unitary method. 1 times 63 whole divided by 10. So many centimeters. So 63 divided by 10 centimeters. So which comes to 6.3 centimeter. So BE length you will take 63, 6.3. So now we are drawing the here figure on the paper. So here you mark a point B and draw a one line with the scale. I am drawing here pre-hand for explaining you just. So this point you take B and here you take, okay, what? Oh, sorry, AB, sorry, AB. AB. It is not B, sorry, A. AB, okay. So mark this point A, okay. So mark this point A, okay. Now here you mark this point A and this point B, okay, and this length is 5 centimeter, which is representing 50 centimeter. Now at the point B, we have to draw an angle of 75 degree. Only with the compass, you cannot use protector. So how we will draw an angle of 75 degree at the point B? So you take a compass and take any radius as you like. Draw and put the compass needle at the point B. And putting the compass needle at the point B, taking any radius, you draw a one arc, okay, like this. And suppose this arc cuts the line AB, and at this point, you call this point by any letter, suppose P. Okay, now put the compass needle at the point P and taking the same radius, with which radius we have made this arc. Taking the same radius, you cut this arc. Okay, now suppose this point where the arc is cut, we call this point M. Again, put the compass needle at the point M, and again you make a one arc. Okay, with the same radius. Don't change the radius, and call this point suppose N. Now what we will do, we will bisect the this gap Mn. So first you put the compass needle at the point M and taking a radius more than half of Mn, you draw a one arc like this, putting the compass needle at point M and taking a radius more than half of Mn. Now you don't change the radius, with which radius you have made this arc. Now you put the compass needle at the point N and cut this previous arc and join this point where the two arcs are cut with the point B. Now this angle will be 90 degree. Now suppose this line cuts the arc at this point. Suppose we call it point R. Okay. Now this, see, this gap is from M to R gap is 30 degree. And from the this NRN, that gap is 60. Because every time with which radius I have made the previous arc by putting the compass needle at point B and taking the same radius, I have made a first arc M and second arc N by putting the compass needle at M. So the gap between P and M is 60 degree, and the gap between M and N is again 60 degree. So the gap from P to N is 120. And now we have bisected MR, MN. So this gap between M and R is 30 degree, and the gap between R and N is 30 degree. So the angle, this angle, suppose I call this point, okay, T. So the angle PBT is 90 degree because up to PM the gap is 60 and MR is 30. So PR gap is 90. Now you bisect MR gap. Put the compass needle at the point M and taking a radius more than half of MR. You draw an arc like this, putting the compass needle at point M. And now you put a compass needle at the point R, okay, and taking the same radius which is more than half of mr, same radius with which radius you have made the previous arc, this by putting the compass needle at the point f. Now you put the compass needle at r because we want to bisect mr which is 30 degree. Cut the previous arc. Now you draw, join this point with B. So this angle is 75 degree. So this is how we draw an angle of 75 degree with the, okay, like this with the compass. Now you take a radius of 6.3 and put the compass needle at the point B and radius 6.3. Cut here this line, the line which is making 75 degree with AB and radius 6.3. Okay, so this length is 6.3. Okay, 6.3 centimeter. Call this point C. So this is the required point. Now you will draw a 90-degree angle at A, as I have explained you here. Okay, put the compass needle at A. You take any radius and draw one arc like this. Okay, now suppose this arc cuts the line AB. You call it point. Suppose E. Okay, now what will I do? I will put the compass needle at E with the same radius, with which radius I have made the this previous arc. Now same radius, you cut the this arc. This gap will be, so call this point suppose F. So EF gap will be 60 degree. Again put the compass needle at F and taking the same radius. Okay, don't change the radius with which radius you have made the previous arc, or by putting the compass needle at A and with which radius you have cut this arc by putting the compass needle at E with the same radius, you cut this arc and call it the point any G, suppose. Now we will bisect the gap between F and G. Put the compass needle at F and taking the radius more than half of FG, you cut here a one arc. And now you put the compass needle at G, same radius. Cut this arc. Where these two arcs are cut, join that point with A. So this angle will be 90 degree because the D point is lying on a line making a 90-degree angle with AB. Now that point D is equidistant from AB and BC. So now you bisect the angle ABC. How? Suppose this point is where the line making a 90 degree, that is BC, is cutting this arc. Okay, at the point, suppose, okay, U. I call this point, suppose U, this point. Now you take a put the point at P, the compass needle point at P, and taking a radius more than half of PU. Okay, now you cut here the arc. Okay, make a one arc. Okay, now you put the compass needle at the point U. the gap which I have to bisect, and you cut this arc. Suppose this arc, so this point where the two arcs are cut, if I join that point with B, so this line, suppose I call this point V, where the this point two arcs are cut. So if I join V to B, so VB will be the line bisecting the angle ABC, that is 75 degree. Now we produce this line. So DE will be lying on this line, produce VB, because any point lying on VB, that is the angle bisector of ABC. Any point lying on that line will be equidistant from AB and BC, because any point which lies on the angle bisector is equidistant from the two arms of the angle. Okay, now where this line cuts the line which is making a 90-degree angle with AB, that point will be the required point D. So join D with C. So this is the required figure. So this AB. So you therefore A B C D is the required figure. Okay, so that is the required figure. So this paper is completed. I hope that you must have understood every question's solution which have done. Okay, so this paper ICC at class 10 sample paper is completed. We will be trying to do a some other mathematics sample paper on the other day. Okay, have a very nice day. Bye. Okay, bye.